Welcome in, everyone, to another 5 takeaways video where I give you 5 takeaways from week 5 and help get you ready for week 6 in fantasy football. Can't believe we're already there, but let's jump into takeaway number 1. Miles Sanders is coming to an end as a valuable fantasy asset. He has been horrible, absolutely horrible. 5 games. In 5 games, we've totaled 190 rushing yards. Now, some players can get that almost in one game. Breece Hall this week, we'll talk about later. But 34.4 yards per game, 3.1 yards per carry, 1 touchdown this whole year. His role in the receiving game was supposed to be increased. It's been better than previous years. He's averaging 3 catches per game for a measly 16.2 yards per game. Chuba Hubbard looked better this week, outproduced him. Laviska Shenault is now getting carries. That's very bad. Bad sign. It's over. It's over for Miles Sanders. I'll take any second in Dynasty and move on. In redraft, I don't know what you do. Bench him, put him on your bench, and you can't cut him, can't trade him. In redraft, he's a roster clogger. In Dynasty, any second, he's gone. I don't want him anymore. Forget him. Let's move on to the next takeaway. Cooper Kupp did return in week 5, and he looked good. 8 for 118 on 12 targets. He looked good. However, Puka Nacua had 11 targets, 7 for 71. I think they're both wide receiver ones. Puka Nacua is so good that, yes, maybe Cooper Kupp coming in will hurt him a little because Cooper Kupp is still elite. But what's going to happen is that the rest of the Rams' passing offense, is going to vanish. It's going to be concentrated in Kupp and Nacua. They had 12 and 11 targets each. They're the offense. Everyone else is now irrelevant. No more Tyler Higbee. Can't play him anymore. No more Tutu Atwell. Kupp and Nacua are the offense. And there's plenty of room for both to go around if those 2 players get everything. And they had double-digit targets. No one else did anything. So there's plenty of room. I'd rather have Nacua in Dynasty, of course, just because he's so much younger. And one last note on Puka Nacua. In 5 games, he has 46 catches for 572 yards. In the first 5 games of his career. Those types of players don't disappear. They don't go away. That's usually those players end up being elite. So nobody's really done that before. So I don't think if he's off to one of the best starts of a career ever, that he's going to just vanish. You know what I mean? Next one. And this is more, I don't know how actionable this is, but Jamar Chase reminded the world why he's Jamar Chase. 15 for 192 and 3 on 19 targets. So he probably won you your league single-handedly this week. He's Dynasty wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. Him or Justin Jefferson, who got hurt this week. I don't know. Between the 2. I don't know how severe that hamstring injury is for Jefferson. But it's an important lesson in that elite players stay elite. I had people asking me, do you want Jamar Chase or A.J. Brown rest of season? Do you want Jamar Chase or CeeDee Lamb rest of season? And I was like, those players are really good. They're really good players. But they're not Jamar Chase. They've never been Jamar Chase. In their career, never, ever, ever have they been the level of what Jamar Chase can bring. Not to mention that Jamar Chase has a better quarterback than those players as well. It was always a panic. Players of this level, we don't worry about them. Not of that level, not of Jamar Chase's level. So if anyone elite is ever available, you always want to get them. So it's just a lesson in hindsight here. And something that I was talking about over the last few weeks. As a buy, Jamar Chase, if there was any buy low, I was saying take it, take it, take it. Speaking of elite players, Breece Hall is back. This was the week that I think he is now fully healthy. Because we saw 22 carries this week. That's a season high, of course. 171 yards, including a long run, which he finished this time for the touchdown. 3 for 17 in the passing game. Dalvin Cook, speaking of finished, he's done. He's done. He looks like crap. He's looked like crap all year. Michael Carter had 3 catches for 14 yards, no carries. But this is not a committee anymore. Breece Hall is the man. He will get all the touches he can handle. The other players will just be there to give him a break. He's going to get 65, 70% of touches like he did this week. And he's the Dynasty RB2 for me at this point. I have Bijan Robinson, of course, at RB1. And then everyone else has serious issues. Breece Hall is the clear Dynasty RB2 for me, ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, who injured. Jonathan Taylor, out carried by Zack Moss by a 3-1 margin. Breece Hall is younger than Taylor by 2.5 years. So, yeah, he's the clear Dynasty RB2 right now. And it's not close. Last takeaway. The Patriots offense, they didn't know they had a game this weekend. They lost 34-0. And you could blame some of it on the defense, which we can talk about as time passes. But Mac Jones, second straight week, benched. Whole offense, 0 points, as I said, 156 yards for the whole offense. Jones managed to turn it over 3 times. On the ground, they totaled 18 carries across all their players for 45 yards. Rhamondre Stevenson did nothing. Ezekiel Elliott was not better. I think it's time to consider that the Patriots need a full house cleaning, including Bill Belichick. I think time might have passed him by. They're 1-4. They look like one of the worst teams in the league. In terms of dynasty takeaways, fantasy takeaways, in redraft, you can't start any 0 of these players. Rhamondre Stevenson is like a RB3 option moving forward. Wide receivers, no. Tight end, Hunter Henry, we're done with that. The offense came up. Mac Jones, even in Superflex spot, you might want to start someone else. And in terms of dynasty, there are no long-term assets on this team. No, none at all. Mac Jones is finished. Bailey Zappi is not any better. Rhamondre Stevenson is fading out, and he's already 25. He'll be 26 going into next year. Demario Douglas is a nice bright spot, I guess. But they need a house cleaning. None of these players are someone you want to rely on in Dynasty. And I only think it's going to get worse throughout the year goes on, not better. So those are my 5 takeaways for this week. I have a few questions from the Patreon. I always answer these questions in advance. If you want to ask advanced questions, you must be a patron. So this one, the reason I like the solo shows is because there's no small talk. You get right to it. But I also like Tuesday's show. Yes, I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm working on the Tuesday show. We're going to see how that goes. And then in terms of the Patreon questions, how did Jonathan Taylor actually look? And are we starting him next week? I think we have to. I'm hoping this was just week 1 jitters. Are we worried about JSN yet? He didn't play this week, so I'm not too worried, but it does suck, I will say. How can you encourage people to send counters? Message them and talk to them and see what they're actually interested in is the best way to encourage them. I have a very young team that I've been treating as a rebuild, but now I'm looking good for 4-2 start after next week. At what point do you abandon the rebuild and lean into win now moves? How can you know if the wins are deceptive or not? Well, the main way that you know that is by looking at your all-play record, your points for, those peripheral metrics other than just win-loss. If you have a league median, that sometimes helps. So just look at especially points for an all-play record. Those two kind of in combination tell you how well you're doing. But yeah, if you want to ask future, there weren't that many questions, but there were. If you want to ask future questions for this show, make sure to subscribe at patreon.com/fantasyadvice. And as always, if you like the video, like, comment, and subscribe on here. And I will see you all later.